from the nation's capital. Yes, we have with us a great orator and a great broadcaster in his own right. We've been talking about N95 masks, the Obama administration's depletion, is Trump's new healthcare challenge. And before we left, ladies and gentlemen, the infamous, can we use the term infamous for her? Muriel Bowser. She's the mayor of the District of Columbia. Tucker Carlson recently said that she can't even plow the streets, or at least tar the streets. Well, she has come out with a order that if you are found outside of your home in violation of the stay-at-home statement or edict, that she will fine you $5,000 and you could lose 90 days in jail. Now, mind you, this is the same woman who's working on opening up the prisons so the prisoners can come home from a very toxic environment that could lead them to getting coronavirus. But you, my friend, you're jailbait. You're jail material. I wanted to give you the opportunity. Could you respond to that, BZ?
I sure could, and thanks for letting me do that. And thanks for allowing me to be here tonight to soil your airwaves like I'm historically known for doing.
I
really appreciate that. Here is why it's great, because if you want to eliminate criminals, this is a wonderful way to do it. Because imagine, what do we know about this virus? Why are we told to social distance? Because if you pack a bunch of people in a jail for having violated that code, then especially if they're 40 years or older, then you've pretty much, in many instances, committed them to a death sentence. That's pretty cool. If you want to eliminate your criminal group, let's see. First you fine them and tax them, then you put them in a small enclosed area and just let the Wuhan 19 thingy do its thing on all these people. Pretty soon, hence, no criminals. How cool is that? That's great. Because you know, if it worked in the 1918 flu pandemic, the reason we killed so many American soldiers and so many soldiers throughout the rest of the world were killed during World War I, yeah, it was trench warfare, but it was also in terms of the American soldier being put in barracks during training in close proximity to other troops, and then once that occurred and they finished basic training, if they didn't get the flu at that time, what happened? Oh, that's right. They were thrown on ships across the Atlantic, and then in close confined spaces there, if they didn't get it in basic training in a small confined barracks area, they sure as shit ended up getting it on a ship. So let's go back and go to Logic 101, shall we? Don't you think maybe there's a reason that the two hospital ships, one in LA and one in New York, that somebody made a command decision, I don't think we're going to put highly infectious people in close quarters like we did in ships in World War I, and that's how we killed American soldiers. Maybe that's not a really damn good idea, because after all, ladies and gentlemen, it's a ship.
with lots of windows, baby. We can open these at any time. Oh my God. I don't know about these people who we now have in governance who, for the first time in their lives, feel the power. They feel the force. They feel what Darth Vader felt. I feel the force, ladies and gentlemen. And now I can find people, even though I can't stop people from using an ATV. And although in the District of Columbia for the past 20 years, we've been on a teenage curfew. And how many teenagers have you seen on the streets after midnight? Somehow, a woman who believes that a quarter of her police force, which is now quarantined because of the coronavirus, the other 75% are going to go out of their way to find you and put you in prison. That genius. Absolutely right. Genius.
Because, you know, like I said, I always said for years, do the logical extension. And the logical extension is, if you want to kill these people and just completely eradicate them from your area, from D.C., etc. Yeah, arrest them and confine them in a small space. That always works wonders during a pandemic. That's great. How fabulous is that? I don't know if you've spoken about this. I'm going to get serious just for a second.
Okay, go right ahead.
I'm going to go stupid funny afterwards.
Okay.
But just for a second, there's going to be something serious, and you may have already addressed this on the show. If you have, I apologize.
No, go forth, man. Go forth. Education and re-education are essential.
We need prayers, all your prayers, folks, marshaled for Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson has been the savior prime minister for the UK. And he contracted this virus, and now he's in the hospital, and he's in ICU. And the people on the left wouldn't mind seeing Boris Johnson dead because he's one of the prime movers of Brexit, and the people in Belgium and all the other little globalists all across Europe and in the UK, they're not going to ever tell you this, but they wouldn't mind seeing Boris Johnson expire because they don't like his policies.
Mm-hmm.
After you've done throwing some prayers at Boris Johnson, you better throw some bigger prayers for President Trump.
Yeah.
Because if President Trump gets this stuff, you can be guaranteed that Pence is not going to act like Trump. You know, I like Pence. I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah.
But he's not Trump.
Yep.
And if Trump were to contract this, and at his age, he's 73, there's a possibility that he could go to the hospital. And you and I both know that we would be guaranteed that all of the left, all of the Democrats, all of the American media maggots would all be overjoyed if he were to go into the hospital and contract this disease. And trust me when I tell you, they would be overjoyed if he were to die. They really would like to. Well, they don't make any secret about it.
No.
Ever since 2016, they've been wishing him death or to be assassinated on all makes and models of social media. So once you get through praying for Boris Johnson, or if you have someone in your family affected, or someone in your family who is, they're going through a tough time, whatever, you better start throwing some national prayers at President Trump.
Yeah.
Because if he goes away, even for a while, that's going to be an opportunity for all the socialists and globalists to get together with all the people in concert with those who aren't paying attention and don't quite care. And they're going to overthrow what is left of Trump's policies, create chaos and confusion in the White House, and they're going to do their level best to take every opportunity to turn everything around.
Yep.
So please, folks, throw some prayers at Boris Johnson. He's the UK's ability to extricate themselves out of the crap they got themselves in. And then please throw some prayers towards President Trump, because we just watched what happened to Boris Johnson today. And I don't want that to happen to President Trump. I really don't. That would be a very terrible, terrible thing.
I'm going to go.
Ken, I am concerned.
I agree with you, and I'm going to go somewhere that a lot of people don't go as a conservative. But I am so thankful that they used common sense to begin using thermostats weeks ago on the press that came in, because some members of the press knew they had coronavirus and yet came through those doors to sit in there to spread it in the hopes of eradicating and eliminating their greatest foe, the President of the United States. I said it, I ain't taking it back, and I don't care if I get fined. It is the truth that there are some propagandists that sit there every single day with a pad and a pen wishing. How do I know that? Because I had a leftist earlier today wish I was dead. And I didn't reveal to you that we have an aerosol situation with this particular virus. You go for it. Tell everybody, sir, what the next story is.
I wish, isn't it? God, this makes all sorts of things bubble to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be an accurate statement, Ken, to say that you and I have been dragged kicking and screaming into thoughts like this?
Yeah.
In 2015, we knew this was bad. in 2015, we knew that leftists were, now, as far as I'm concerned, they are the infection. They're going to be the continuing infection. But to get to the point where you and I have to consider possibilities like this in all sorts of different various venues, and all the crazy things that go burbling through our fetid little human brains, except that a lot of the stuff that we were worried about and saying is so ridiculously stupid and could never have occurred, now we're discovering it's occurred. When Trump said he was being wiretapped in 2015, 2016, well, mostly 2015, it turns out he was right.
Yeah.
Now, maybe he didn't get the semantics right, but it turned out that the general thought was, yeah, he's absolutely correct. And we're finding out more and more every day that just when we thought something couldn't get stupid, it gets more stupid. Now we've got Mika Brzezinski and Morning Joe and all that kind of stuff. Now they're saying, yeah, you know what? Because Trump advocated hydroxychloroquine, that he must have a fiscal hook involved in that thing. Now you've got people that are saying, we need to take Trump to The Hague as a killer of individuals, and we need to try him and convict him of what he's done. Just try to save the country and all, but why let facts and the obvious get in the way of a good leftist narrative? It's just insane.
Exactly.
I would never have thought in a million years that, or maybe you could say this. It took Trump to reveal the true nature of people on the left.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing it took a pandemic like this to reveal the true nature of people on the left. As I said before, as I was saying since 2004, when my blog first started, all sorts of people are looking for the Cloward Piven strategy. Anarchists are looking for it. All sorts of people on the left, the violent left, have been looking for it. And they're going to take advantage of an opportunity. If Trump goes down, they're going to take an advantage of the opportunity. They will never stop. They will never cease. Just when you think it couldn't happen, it's starting to happen. Just when you think that, you're a tinfoil hat wearer for thinking a fraction of the things that are turning out to be true. So that's why I say you and I have been dragged kicking and screaming from one side of the planet to another, to the point where when you say, a lot of people are advocating for his death and want him dead, and a lot of people have been advocating for your death, would you have thought that possible 10 years ago?
Never.
I wouldn't have not.
No, it doesn't.
You cannot have a constructive conversation with any leftist. Kurt Schlichter came on my show and said, you're a militant normal. And they, meaning leftist Democrats and the American media maggots, they hate you. And I thought, when I first had him on the show, I thought, that's kind of strong. But okay, it's Kurt Schlichter. I grok that concept.
Yeah.
No, they hate you, and they want you dead.
Exactly.
It's as simple as that.
Exactly. Who could have thought that a Manchurian candidate could be elected president of the United States of America and finish off what FDR started almost 100 years ago regarding the institution of the Second Bill of Rights, literally castigating a free market society and placing us under 8 consistent years of a great recession. And a man comes in named Donald Trump and says, we will do the opposite of what this man did, and we will prosper our economy. And even though we have lost all of the wealth from the time period of the 3 years he's been in, we have not gone below where we started. And in fact, the same guy, Barack Hussein Obama, I said it, you can find me if you want, but his middle name was Hussein. And there's a reason for that. He is Hussein. So the bottom line is this individual led us into a great recession and then said we will never see 3% GDP growth again. And we have a president who made that happen with the Democrats against him, the world globalists against him, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea against him. He did all of that in 3 years. And they hate him so much. You can see the spittle coming from the sides of their mouth. They hate him so much. Why don't you just die? And that's exactly what they believe about you and me and BZ and any other conservative that comes on the air and tells you don't stay in a stuffy room with an aerosol virus because you're eventually going to contaminate yourself and die. They want you to die. You are the America that they hate. You, my friend.
There's an interesting, I think it's credited to Ian Fleming. There's an interesting saying that he had. And I go back to a cartoon meme that I saw. And it went something like this. Wiretapping. Ah, hell, we couldn't get him. Sexual assault. Ah, hell, we couldn't get him. Mueller. Wow, hell, we couldn't get him. Russia. Ah, hell, we couldn't get him. Ukraine. Ah, hell, we couldn't get him. Impeachment. Ah, hell, we couldn't get him. I know. Let's start a pandemic.
Yes.
And they haven't gotten him. This saying that I was going to tell you, and I'm guessing that this is going to be a wrap because you got to go.
Yes.
This saying is this from Ian Fleming. He was the creator, the writer of the author of James Bond. And he said years ago, once is happenstance. Twice is coincidence. 3 times is enemy action.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been happening more than 3 times.
Ladies and gentlemen,
China is our enemy. The left are the enemy. And I don't care who listens to this. Democrats are the enemy.
They are, people. They are. I know they're sisters and your brothers and your cousins and your mothers and your fathers and your friends. But guess what? At one time in this country, we had cousins, brothers, sisters, and uncles, and fathers and mothers that were dead set against one another. And they were called the Confederates in the Union. And out of that grouping, one grouping believed with all of their might that you can free a people even if it requires force. And I am telling you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, there are those who have thrown everything at this particular president and would not mind seeing riots begin in the next couple of weeks because they don't get their checks, their businesses have been shut down, and the economy has been closed off. This is exactly what Cloward Pivens and all the others before us, Von Mises and all the others before us warned us about. Stop following the Keynesians. Stop following the anarchists. Stop following the leftists. Continue to be free. And yet we even have today those who wish us to be sheltered in place and die. I lie to you not. Ladies and gentlemen, Biff Zeppe, SHR Media, BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. You can watch him as soon as the network comes back up, right? Where's your show coming back?
I tried to come up with a separate workable station in my house, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably be back in the studio. I'm going to give Sean another week to just make sure that he's okay, that I can go back into the studio. I'm hoping, with fingers crossed, that I can go back into the studio next week, Tuesday and Thursday nights. I'm hoping.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, one of America's great orators, Biff Zeppe. Listen, if you don't remember anything I said tonight, I hope that you do remember this. That God bless America. It is time for America to bless God. We'll be back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for the Exceptional Conservative Show. Muchas gracias to Mary Brockman, whom I love so dearly. Thank you so much. Dave Milner, thank you. And Biff Zeppe for being in the chat row. Thank you, Bonnie Williams, my executive producer, for not finding me tonight. Ms. Intern, thank you for all the great memes and all the great work that you're doing. Mrs. Biggs, thank you for all of your support in making this happen. And for all of you who have been watching us, we are now in the 98th percentile of websites in America, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the top 2%. People love the Exceptional Conservative Network. Thanks to you. We'll see you tomorrow night. God bless you. Take care.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thanks, brother.
The sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.